It was recording and I just canceled it. Okay. I just stopped the recording.
Okay, let's... yeah, we'll come back to it. Yeah, we can keep that and then we'll just start from here.
Just gotta get the kicks in.
Oh, we're recording. Okay.
We're recording.
It's real life now.
It's real life.
Welcome
to the first episode.
So this is 30. I am your co-host, Isaiah.
And I'm Sheridan. We landed on Sheridan.
We did.
Right.
Yeah. There's a whole bit that you guys will probably see where we discuss our names. But we'll save that for another episode because there is a lot to talk about.
We're unpacking today.
We sure are. Actually, we're boxing some things up.
we're packing. We're not unpacking.
I put it in a box
we
and I left. There's some things I left behind, but it's a good point. What are we unpacking today?
Nordstrom.
How about you start?
Okay, so this episode's a little loaded. About 2 weeks ago, we received some pretty life-changing news.
Did we? What was that?
Life-altering, some may say. We work for Nordstrom's.
We worked.
Worked.
And sorry, Nordstrom Canada.
You're right, we should be specific.
Yeah, because
only Canada's closing.
That's a difference we found out. Yeah.
It's been a whirlwind of emotions, honestly. It's funny because as we were preparing to start this podcast, we were like, what are the topics? What things can we talk about? All things that are becoming 30 for us. Because Isaiah just turned 30. I'll be turning 30 in a few months. And we're like, great, 30 and unemployed.
Perfect starting point. What's better than rock bottom? You know what's funny, though, is on that specific note, I was looking at other areas of my life, and I'm like, not so good, could be better. But I was always like, but I have a career, I'm on track for a career. That's good at 30. I feel
You're
like that's
right.
pretty
You know
good.
what? And it's funny because people tell me all the time, wow, accomplished at 30, you're running a team. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I am pretty accomplished. I was pretty accomplished at 30.
Yeah. We are, but...
Jokes aside.
We was. But, okay, another very important thing that we want to make sure that we discuss is obviously we are going through this pretty traumatic situation for us. But I do feel that there are 2,400 people in Canada that are affected by this. It changes a lot of lives. It changes a lot of families, and everybody deals with this differently. We are speaking specifically on how we felt and kind of how we navigated
Everyone's handling it differently. Everyone's experience throughout this whole thing will be very different. I'm grateful I have Isaiah to laugh about it with. That's just how we're able to cope.
Yeah, definitely a lot.
But we're feeling it for our entire team, entire Nordstrom Canada. There's this family feeling, and we're definitely feeling it. And so we don't want to diminish anyone's experience, of course. We're here to make jokes and make light of a situation, but it's our experience that we're talking about. So just we want to make that clear that we don't represent Nordstrom Canada employees.
We don't speak. Yeah, absolutely not. But in general, I think in our podcast too, we're going to be talking about a lot of different life experiences and things we've gone through, and some things very specific to ourselves that you might relate to. But at the end of the day, we are speaking for our own voice and nobody else's, and that's very important for our podcast. This is just
it's a safe space, right?
Safe space.
We want you to feel safe listening, joining in.
Look at those Nordstrom values.
One team, one dream, one Nordstrom.
Canada.
Hashtag.
Here to win.
So let's go back to March 7th. No, we'll go back further than that. March 3rd? Or March 4th?
Funny thing, my 30th birthday was February 23rd. This news landed on the week after. So it was the Thursday after my birthday. I know this because I canceled my first birthday because of a snowstorm.
Right.
My second birthday was scheduled the week after. And as soon as I found this news out, so many people were invited to my birthday from Nordstrom. I didn't even tell anyone it was canceled. I was just like, this is pretty obvious.
We were all wallowing. We were all like, no part. We don't want to party. We don't want to do anything.
So I think it was, there's only 28 days, so it was like what, March 2nd?
Yeah, it had to be the 2nd or the 3rd when we received the news. So
I can't, you were not.
I was off.
Yeah, we have a different experience
yes.
there. So you
Me first? Okay. So, I'm pretty bad. I check emails on my phone on my day off. Sorry, that's just me.
That's the Nordstrom way.
And you know what? Maybe I should have missed this email. But there was an email that was like, get on this call right now. And it was like, the email was sent maybe 5 minutes before the call. And I was like, oh, it's pretty serious. It means there's some like really important information that has to be shared. So I'm going to hop on this call even though it's my day off. I hop on the call and it's our like vice president, like our very top leaders. And I was like, oh, cool. Like something, maybe this is like big, exciting news. Like the whole company needs to know. And it, you know, they'd wasted no time. They pulled that Band-Aid off and they were like, yeah, and you know, you guys are great. Unfortunately, we're closing the doors. Across Canada.
Winding down.
Yeah. We are winding down. Business as usual until the 17th, but we are winding down. And I remember like my phone flooding because maybe 10 minutes later it launched on the news. So I'm here processing like, what's happening? People are messaging me, are you okay? Where are you okay? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay. I don't really know what's happening. And I think I called my dad. I FaceTime my dad quite often. And I FaceTimed him and I probably was incoherent, just bawling, processing the fact that I didn't even think about the fact that I was out of a job. That wasn't my first thought. It was that my home, this place I call home and these people I call family, I wouldn't get to see them every day. That there would come a time when it was over. And I was like, my dad was like, is like, are you okay? Did someone die? Like, I couldn't even get the words out. And he was like really shocked because he knew how much I loved Nordstrom. And then that was my like initial reaction. I was like really struggling to grasp it actually. Like I couldn't imagine it coming to an end.
And I think the other hard part too is like Sheridan just said, is as you're finding out, you're also getting flooded with messages. And what I was going to say earlier when you were speaking on how you felt was that, but then you brought it back to that. But it is crazy because like as you're digesting this information for yourself, there's articles already being sent to you. There's like literally like news reports about it, and we'll get to why. Well, I'll get to why that is. I'm not sure if we've really spoken on it, but from my understanding of it, because I also didn't Google it, I just didn't Google it. But I think I have a fairly good grasp as to why we learned the way we did, and this is kind of what I've discussed with people.
How did you find out?
So I don't know how much I can say. So I work. So we work in the restaurant division. I was a GM of one of our establishments. I don't know if I should really say specifically. Maybe I don't know.
I mean, it's on your LinkedIn. People can look you up.
So I was the GM of Milk Bar. We were a Nordstrom contract, and so therefore we
first footprint
Nordstrom.
In Canada.
Sorry, we were the second.
Sorry, second. Toronto was like a pop-up one.
So I should say so sorry to all of you diehard fans of Milk Bar. I as well was so excited. I was a part of two huge brands, like two reputable, amazing brands that I felt like really proud to represent. But again, we were in a very specific contract that I personally have not seen. So I won't say too much. But what I will say is they were going to be opening, and they have opened, or they're about to open one in Bellevue. So the general manager, the regional came by, and we were teaching him essentially like how to operate a milk bar, what does it look like, what goes into it, what are your checklists, because we were the first Nordstrom footprint. Sorry, we're the second Nordstrom footprint. There's New York as well. I don't even know why I said that. But anyways.
We were just proud, okay?
Yeah,
we were representing the West Coast with a milk bar.
Long story short, so I was showing him all the things. And then we got to a point, because I'm a new GM, I'm learning kind of how everything works, and there's incentives. And so there was an incentive coming up for a GM, and our sales were good. I don't think that's a secret. We were very successful. The brand's well known. It was super exciting to have this in Vancouver, and Vancouver needs more. And so there was incentive that I was being told about. And so when I got called into the office, I was like, oh my gosh,
I got
like,
the
it's
incentive.
happening. I got the incentive. What the incentive is, I won't allude to, but there's incentive. And I was like so excited. But then like one of the other managers is like, we gotta go. Like I missed it on our little walkie-talkie, or Volsterias. And I just start like going after her. I'm just like, okay, like what's going on? I get into the office, all of the other managers there, they're just like, we're all in like good spirits. It's just a Thursday. Like it's the most random day. Nothing special. Except I was gonna have my birthday party. And I just see like a few sunken faces, because I think there's 2 people in that room that knew the information, and I could just see the sadness in their face, and it was just really hard to see. But in the moment, I'm just like, I don't really understand. I think it's just that
Why are they so sad if we're getting good news? Oh, you didn't.
That was my first thought. I'm just like, like it's fine.
Better
like,
luck next year.
Next year, I know, like it's a hard economy right now. Like there's, Then we start talking about the wind down, and we're all kind of like, what does that mean? Like, are they going to be shutting down some stores? Are we going to consolidate?
Yeah, initially I was like, okay, we'll just close a couple stores.
Yeah, and with that too, like I was like, oh, okay, like this is going to be a conversation, and this is happening very fast. So like I'm making all these stories up very fast. I'm like, oh, like we're going to have to train a whole bunch of people. Like we're going to onboard them onto our
like
stores.
From other stores.
Like that's fine. Like obviously we want everyone to do well, but then, and I say this because our store, as you know, is very successful. You can read that anywhere.
Yeah. Even like news articles would come up and be like, it's a shame that they're closing down Canada. Vancouver had one of the top stores in the company. Sometimes we were in the top 10 of the whole company. So it is hard to wrap your head around it sometimes. And it's not one single store's fault. Like, as I think things unfolded, I started to also understand a little bit more behind like why such a tough decision had to be made.
Yeah. So anyways, on that note, we're all kind of learning. Basically, end of that conversation is we're winding down, just like you had said. And then from there, it's you need to tell your team. And so I start to like walk down and discuss what's going on with my team. We don't really know what to say. They give us like some sort of verbiage, essentially, just what we had. So then we go down and we tell our team, I'm not gonna lie, I had this sheet of paper in front of me, because I was given a sheet of paper of like what we just learned, and then Kelsey actually gave that to me. One of the other managers just passed it to me. She's like, okay, I already had that conversation. Here you go. You can have this. I said, thank you. And so I take the sheet of paper. Sorry, this is not like super fun and exciting, but like this is the traumatic part of it.
Yeah.
It like changes throughout, but I take the paper, I go to my team, I look at them, and I like am kind of like starting to well up, and my team, like, they're so sweet. This is the other really hard part, is like our team become our family.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, are you okay? Like, did something happen? Like, they're concerned for me. Which is fair, because I also lost my job. But they're concerned, and I'm like, hey guys, like I have some like really unfortunate news. You're probably already starting to see like pings on your phone, because I was receiving pings as I'm going downstairs. And there's like news reporters outside of my window, because we're right on the corner. And I go to tell my team. I start to kind of like tear up, and then I start to tell my team, and then I start to cry. I just feel like my team like is so sweet and like so supportive. I think they also realize like I've been with the company for a very long time, so it like made it harder for me, and it made me like even more sad to lose my team, because like I could tell the support coming from them, like, you work so hard for this. And it was less about how they were feeling, which is not my intention. I was like, I promised an opportunity with a really great company, a company that we loved. And for that to be lost was really sad. And I felt like I tied them to that. I know that's not the case. None of us did, but like that was a hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your next wave of emotions?
Then I was like, okay, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for me? Because I'm always like an on to the next one. Like I've never been in between jobs. I've always secured secured my next spot before, so I'm getting anxious. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, like I honestly have never been faced with a situation like this. So that was my next thing. Then anger. I'm like, how dare Nordstrom tell us 5 minutes before they break the news? Like all and these unknown things. Like, I'm just obviously creating narratives in my head of different things that are happening. And I think eventually I understood that, from a business standpoint, there's no one they could have told, hey, that's pretty confidential information. You don't want that leaked ahead of time. That's one thing. And B, it was probably like a decision.
Your next wave of emotions.
Then I was like, okay, what does this mean?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for me? Because I'm always like an on to the next one. Like I've never been in between jobs. I've always secured secured my next spot before, so I'm getting anxious. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, like I honestly have never been faced with a situation like this. So that was my next thing. Then anger. I'm like, how dare Nordstrom tell us 5 minutes before they break the news? Like all and these unknown things. Like, I'm just obviously creating narratives in my head of different things that are happening. And I think eventually I understood that, from a business standpoint, there's no one they could have told, hey, that's pretty confidential information. You don't want that leaked ahead of time. That's one thing. And B, it was probably like a decision, it seemed like it was a decision that was not made months and months in advance either.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a board of directors. Like, there's all sorts of, like...
I think there's a lot that goes...
mechanisms that go into this building. Like, we think it's just the Nordstroms and they own it. And they're great people. But there's so much more into the business that we don't know. We don't get to see. And, I mean, I could look it up, I'm sure. But I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in the team and the building, the four walls that I was working in.
Yeah. What I will say on that, I think... And sorry, this is kind of a touchy subject to go back on, and I apologize if it's something that's touchy. But going back to COVID, I think that was really impactful on so many businesses, and we didn't skirt by that. Nordstrom was affected.
It felt like we were doing pretty okay. We launched online, like Canada launched their .ca, and we got the opportunity to even work in the store in a different capacity because the restaurant remained closed for a very long time during COVID. But I felt safe and secure in Nordstrom. I was like, okay, cool. Like they pivoted. They were offering all of my staff different ways to work. And it just, I was proud of Nordstrom for, the way they handled.
That's another thing. And I think in our part 2, which you should tune into, we'll discuss this aspect of it. But I think that's why I wasn't so worried about like the things that I was uncertain about, is because I know how they treated us during that time. And I think that's a big deal, and that says a lot about a company. So I hope if you are tuning into this, you don't think that we're just going to be bashing on the company, because we wouldn't have stayed with the company for this long if that's
and
how
continue to stay.
Yeah, and continue to stay, because we are actually still there.
We're still supporting them. To be honest, some of my waves of anger were around that. I was like, are they going to, like, they're not going to take care of us. They're just going to leave us. Like, I did have, doubtful moments. To be fair, we had to wait a bit for our, like, official notice of termination. Felt like we were promised one date and it wasn't delivered. But also again, learning that's like, there's so many legal things that we just don't see the day to day. So,
yeah. And also, too, like, a big part of that is we're managers. Like, we think of our own lives, and that impacts, like, so much of our day-to-day. But on top of that, I have 13 people. You have an even larger team. I've got, like,
25, yeah.
So to think about their lives and the amount of people reaching out to us and
not having the answers, didn't know what to say.
Because if I didn't have answers for myself, I'm used to that. But not having answers for, like, people's livelihoods that like I genuinely care about. That's what's hard. And so I think that's where some of the anger started to show through for myself. I'll say, because again, I speak for myself, but that's where my anger started to kind of like build.
Yeah. And then going to work the day after the announcement, there's a feeling. There's something in the air.
Yeah.
It was very heavy. So heavy. Like going up those stairs. Because we didn't really know. We didn't know how long we would have. We didn't know. It was so fresh, so new, and there was no information shared.
Yeah.
And so it just felt very doom and gloom. It was very hard, and I was like, I'm going to go in
like
there.
The
and
apocalypse.
Yeah, literally. I was like saying hi to everyone, and everyone's face just looks different. People are just, you could sense something. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try my best. I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to be positive. I'm a leader. I'm going to lead by example.
Yeah,
if I come with the attitude, I will. And I walk into the kitchen, and I spot one of my prep cooks who she opened that location. And I just broke down. I hugged her, and I couldn't stop saying sorry. And I know it was nothing I did, and I knew like she was one of many that really care about her job and care about what she does there. And I just was like apologizing, and I know it's not my fault, and I just felt sorry that I couldn't do more. I couldn't protect their jobs, And I was angry at myself because I'm like stop being emotional, and And she's like, no, you're making me cry. I was good until then. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, but I just know how much you care, and I care for you because I know how much I care here.
Yeah.
And that was hard. And then it got easier day by day because we were crazy busy. The news broke, and we were doing Christmas sales. And there was no time to think.
We were doing more than Christmas.
Like,
we were doing opening sales for us.
We ran out of food almost every couple of days. I was like, I couldn't keep up with the ordering. I was like, this is madness. And the energy changed. It was like, you know what, we're going to go out with a bang. Mm-hmm. And we received notice that the restaurant would have to unfortunately close down pretty soon. So we were like, we're going to make these next 2 weeks like our best 2 weeks. And it was great. It honestly was great. Like, everybody was in such a...
Yeah.
It was crazy because I was like, you guys complain more during the holidays. And it was so busy. And everyone's like, this is amazing. It was really great to end on that note.
I feel like, too, though, like, it almost took, like, that pressure off a little bit, too. Not to say that we were... Because, again, like you said, like, we're still doing the Nordstrom standards, like, all of that. But, like...
We were just focusing on the guest.
We had a moment of just, like... Let's just do this, And we all chose to be there. Because if
people
someone didn't want to be there, they didn't have to be there. But, to know that we all chose to stay there, says a lot.
Yeah.
For our teams, There was a point that you had in your conversation there. Oh, so about
feeling, sorry that I couldn't save their jobs.
Yeah, which I definitely agree. And also, too... the time. I think you were talking about the time that you put in and how much you cared about the job. I had many conversations with salespeople who have been there for, similar to your prep cook, which I almost said the name of. Ooh, almost slipped. Where they would say I miss birthdays, I miss family gatherings, I miss vacations, and that sounds bad. And also that.
Hey listeners, are you an awesome brand that you think we would love? Shoot us a DM, and maybe we'll feature you in our next podcast. And we're back. Thank you for joining us after a brief intermission. I'm your co-host, Sheridan.
And I'm your co-host, Isaiah.
And so this is 30. Before we so rudely interrupted by my phone not having any more space or storage.
Also, such a thing in your 30s.
I'm I pay for extra iCloud storage, okay? That's pretty bad. I pay for it. And I'm still never have enough storage. But I think we were kind of, getting into, our feelings on what it felt like being, officially released from our jobs. We're in the process of that.
That sounds so bad to say.
And we weren't we're not released on bad terms. We didn't dismissal. Yeah. But the process of, winding down operations. And just what it looked like at that time. And, I think I want to talk about what it looks like going forward. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do? What do you want to do now? You have this opportunity, golden opportunity. What do you want to do?
Yeah. Well, I think a big part of this too, just to kind of go back to the last bit, is we have clarity now. And I think the clarity kind of gives us the opportunity to move forward. I know, the dogs.
Yeah,
you guys
the
can't
dogs.
see it in the
You
camera.
can't see what's happening off screen here.
My dogs are hitting puberty.
It's,
so, Drake, would you cut it out?
PG, not PG-13.
So anyways, yeah, we have more clarity. So I think that gives us a lot more opportunities. Before it was hard. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to do. People would ask. This is another thing that we didn't discuss.
Oh, man. Top 10 question.
Oh, my God.
What are you going to do now?
Yeah. What are you going to do now?
Do you have a job lined up?
Yeah. When are the sales? Like, what's happening? Did you decide what you're going to do? Like, why are you staying? Just the amount of questions that I'm sure any Nordstrom employee at this point from Canada, Nordstrom Canada, is getting. But now we have that clarity, so we can do things. Yeah, I'm excited to get creative.
I'm excited. I decided I want to ride it out. I'm going to go to the end. I opened the Toronto Eaton Centre location as, you know, a junior line cook. And I'm leaving as a chef, so that's a huge accomplishment. And I want to ride it out to the end, I decided. I think like a nice little full circle moment. I'm not where I started, but, you know, I think that's a cool moment. And it will also give me time to actually consider some things that I'm working on, a little bit of like, you know, personal business stuff. Like, we'll see. Am I going to jump right back into the corporate world, or am I going to be my own boss? So I'm excited, and I think that it's going to give me the time to explore those options.
Yeah.
And more time to podcast. Duh.
Duh.
What do you think you want to do?
So, I mean, I think we have a pretty, and this is the thing that people would always say too, is like, oh, like your resume looks good, like you have like Nordstrom on there, and like, absolutely, totally true. It's just whether we want to stay in, you know, these roles and do this in a different space. Nordstrom was so specific, like it was so like unique.
Oh man, like
as much as we wanted to complain, as everyone does about
you
a
complain
job,
wherever you are. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
it's just, you know, the
of all the jobs, I would
here.
complain the least here.
Yeah, and the growth, like the potential there was super exciting. But on that note, we did build a lot of skills, and we do have a lot of opportunity available to us, which, you know, we should be grateful for. I mean, not, you know, it's not great to be fired, but so yeah,
the journey.
Yeah, the journey. But I'm excited to just be creative. Long story short, like I'm just excited to paint. I do these.
This
like,
is an Izzy original.
Thanks. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. I feel like I'm finally, a big thing about being in my 30s is I'm starting to really like figure out like my style, like who I am, like, and as an artist, that's a big
can
thing
really relate to that. I think in my 20s, I thought I knew who I was. Mm-hmm. I thought I had it all figured out. And in my 30s, I'm like, oh, I don't really like that. Or it's okay to like want to try something new. And like I joined a dance hall, Afro beats. I love dancing. I've never joined a dance class, but I love dancing. And I did this 4-week progressive. I did like a workshop night with like a dance hall queens, like a women's edition. Catch the Vibes. I will plug them. They are amazing, you guys. Like the space, it's just a great energy there. And I found some confidence there. That was really fun. I always knew I liked dancing, but like in that space, that creative space, that was really fun getting to do that. Yeah, you're like coming into myself, even my like things I like to wear. I'm being more daring, things I would have been scared to try.
Yeah.
Like what am I scared of?
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too, is like specifically the word scared. So I found like every year, New Year's, you have your resolutions or whatever, and some things you hold on to, but I really like to collect those. Like I took my New Year's resolution from like, let's say 2018 and then 2019, and I pulled that into my life now. So I feel like I collectively like gave myself like these little like
you're constantly growing or constantly.
Yeah. So like one of them was every time I felt like I was afraid of something, and it's not like, obviously like I'm not going to do something stupid or like something that would harm me or whatever. But if it was like, maybe I was scared of public speaking, so then I would make it my like goal to be like, and like this, for example, like this is pretty scary. This is something I would have never done. So I made it my goal to like do those things so that I would like kind of push myself out of that comfort zone and that fear. And it also gave me like, what's that? Adrenaline rush. Because I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go in the cashier today. I'm like, just do it. And then like it made it so much more exciting.
You're right. That's how I felt about the dancing thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I never sign up for things by myself. I need a friend there. I was like, I'm gonna sign up by myself, and like showing up to this class alone, and like just like sitting there alone. I was like, okay, we're not doing this. Like we came here to be different, do different. So I was like, you're gonna go introduce yourself, and you're gonna go meet two people.
I
And
like that.
that's hard. That was fun, but and I left it with like I feel like I have a couple like friendly acquaintances now that I look forward to like joining the next workshop series that they do, and because the friendship part's really important. They say Vancouver, guys.
Oh, that in itself.
Vancouver is a lonely place. I'm
Yeah.
from Toronto, okay? No matter where you go, you're making like 20,000 friends. I don't know how genuine the friends are, but the interaction is very friendly. Not that people are not nice, but they're not exactly friendly. And everybody has their cliques, so it's a little hard to make friends.
And as someone, I'm just going to say, and I don't mean to interrupt,
No,
but I feel like that's a very good point. And we've talked about this many times. I bring this up to almost anyone who comes to Vancouver, but I'm mostly from Vancouver. I am from BC. I originally was from Quesnel. I moved here when I was 9. I grew up here, so like a lot of my friends were from here. But what I found is I really started to notice that as an adult because, you go into the working world. A lot of your friends move away. They start their families. Like there's a lot of things that kind of transition people out of Vancouver or out of your life. Which is just a natural progression.
That's life.
But I found I really got to know Vancouver when that started to happen for me in my 20s, I would say. And I can definitely relate. Like I can really see how someone coming into this space, like it does come off really cold. I think, it's an expensive city. You have to hustle to be here.
You're just here to work sometime. And it sucks because it's a beautiful city, so you don't want to be with your head down working.
Stunning.
Because you miss out.
Yeah.
People like you like touched on like feeling cold here, but before I even landed in this city, Isaiah was the first person that reached out to me and made me feel so welcome. He was like, we're so excited to have you on the team. We heard you bake treats. We're so ready. I don't know if everyone felt the same way, but he spoke for the entire team. So I felt like I was very welcome before I even landed. And so I'm very grateful to that. Like very, very grateful for that. And I was like, oh, I love this guy already. Like it definitely made the transition easier. So thank you. I don't know if I ever told you that. You were the first person to like welcome me here.
Oh, I appreciate that. And now full circle.
Yeah.
Well, I was very excited, and the team was very excited to have you. So that was no question. But yeah, I definitely feel like it's important. I've seen so many transitions into Vancouver from different people, so it is important for me to make sure that everyone does feel like they're stepping into, their home, because it's going to take some time to get settled. Anywhere it would, but Vancouver is a very interesting space in that way. And it's not to say once you get to Vancouver, you're not going to find that space. It might take some time.
A little work, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of work, but nothing worth having doesn't come with a little work. So actually one of my top 3 questions I get asked since the announcement of Nordstrom Canada closure is like, are you going back home?
That's a good question.
And we're not.
Mm-hmm.
We are calling here home for now. We really like it. And, as much as it's hard that like we're losing.
Are you a cool business or brand that our viewers and us might enjoy? Send us a quick DM and this space could be yours.
Sorry.
These little guys.
We're back again. I was saying that we were given this extended notice period, and I'm gonna definitely use that to enjoy the city. So not gonna rush to jump into a new job. I'm gonna work out the notice and do some fun stuff around the city. Sorry, because I haven't really gotten to do that. I've been so busy. This job, this role is like never ending stuff going on. So there's little blessings in disguise that I also look for, and I'm like, you know what? This is maybe the forced break I needed as well, because I would just keep working.
Yeah. And the thing is too, like, I think we're both very similar in this and I said this in the first part of the podcast, is saying no to a lot of things and not doing things because we felt so deeply for the company and we felt like it was the right decision. And I don't regret a lot of those decisions, but what I will say is now that we do have this forced decision made for us, it really does, aka we were fired, just in case you didn't hear that enough. It just gives us so much more freedom to do those things that we should really be doing for ourselves. And also we can reevaluate how we step into our next position and what our next chapter is going to look like.
Yeah. I think one of the things I want to focus on, actually, you touched on, like, being 30 and, like, saying no or creating healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Like, I was not good at saying no. Like, you know, every little thing I'm going to accept. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll do that for you. No problem. I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
But at the expense of, like, sometimes my own.
Yeah. Say no.
Time.
Say no.
Like, you know, I can't be putting off events, putting off, like, personal doctor's appointments. Like, that's when it gets kind of hectic. So.
And I think even more than saying no is, like, just saying yes, but saying yes to yourself. I think that's important.
More positive spin. Because no is, like, very negative connotation. But, yeah, like, do I want this? Yeah, sure. You know? Do this for you.
Yeah.
For you.
For you. Do it for you.
So it's the summer, we're doing it for you.
We're doing it for you.
It's the summer of you.
Yeah.
Summer of me.
It's the summer of me. It's the summer of us.
Summer of us.
Yeah, we're going to do great things. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to really, I mean, we're both very creative. I think this is going to be a really fun outlet for us.
Yeah. I was really shy to start this, but
yeah, I know.
I'm getting more comfortable.
Yeah, the first, fun. I'm not going to lie, since we're
maybe one person will watch, 10 people will watch.
Who knows? I will say with the first episode, I was telling Sheridan, I'm like, I am not a storyteller. So like that first portion of this episode, you could really see how nervous I was for that part because I don't retell stories. And so I definitely was long-winded.
We're working on that.
But we're working on that.
You're going to stick around for the journey, the evolution of So This Is 30.
Yeah.
And follow us around on our first year being 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess to like wrap it up, you know, the things we want to talk about are all going to be related to being 30. And I think it's something we're going to expand in and talk about in our 40s and our 50s, whatever that looks like. And maybe have guests to offer insight into, you know, those different generations and stuff. But just, you know, we want it to be a friendly, safe space, lighthearted. You know, we don't want to be too serious all the time. And just, share our experiences of what 30 has been like and will be like and what we want it to be. Yeah. Yeah.
That's exciting. It's something to be excited about. I love that we started on a bang. Like,
our first episode's pretty loaded.
Yeah.
It's funny. It was like perfect timing. I was like, okay. Yeah. This is our first episode. This is our life.
What were we going to call this episode at first?
The one where we were fired or something like that. The one where they got fired.
Maybe that's what it'll be. The one where they got fired.
Like, you know, maybe let us know the things that you would want us to talk about or see. I would love to have like a question and answer, you know, write us, you know, I don't have the answers to everything, but I would love to know what other people want to know about being 30.
Yeah. I would love, even more than like, yes, I want questions. I also want like some stories that I don't have to remember.
Other people's experience.
Yeah. We want to hear what being 30 means to you. And then if you have questions for us, absolutely. Maybe you have questions about like our specific stories in our 30s.
Our jobs, our life.
You can ask still about like our situation that we're going through now if you're curious. We can't answer everything, but we can give you some clarity. Yeah. All right. I think
we're signing off for today.
Yeah. So thanks
for joining.
And we'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Cut.